Hi, my name is Rachelle Smith, entrepreneur, professional speaker, and author. Last time, I highlighted the importance of transparency and being open and allowing our experiences in life to help other people who may be facing similar challenges or even just to give them inspiration and hope regarding any particular challenges they may be facing in life. So transparency is so important. And in the spirit of transparency, folks, I must share something with you. Now, yesterday, we've all been there, lost my cell phone in the house. We all know how it feels to feel like we've lost our cell phone. And fortunately, I found it, but I had to literally go up and down. My townhouse is 3 levels, so I was literally just, I left no stone unturned in terms of trying to figure out where my phone was. And so I think for me, it was downstairs in my home office, looking everywhere, looking on top of bookcases and things like that. And I actually came across something, so I'm so glad I lost my phone yesterday, ironically, because it helped me as I think about today's topic of defeating your Goliath. Okay, we all know the story, David and Goliath. David ultimately won the battle with Goliath, and we all face Goliaths in our lives, whether it be, a big promotion that you're hoping to get that you feel unqualified for, whether it's a particular financial challenge you may be facing and you feel like there's no way I'm going to overcome this, maybe a relational situation. We all have what we consider to be Goliaths in our lives. And these may be things or people that intimidate us, make us afraid, make us feel inadequate, unqualified, inferior. But what I want to do is challenge you today to overcome whatever Goliaths that you face in life. And in that vein, as I mentioned, I was kind of scouring my house up and down, trying to find my cell phone. And I actually came across something, speaking of Goliaths in life, I came across a book of mine, one of my former textbooks from actually, ironically, Northwestern University. And when I think back to Goliaths in life, I don't think there's any greater Goliath in my academic life than this particular course that I took back in when I was a graduate student at Northwestern. So that's what multivariate data analysis, and I'm looking here at the price on this textbook is $106.75. So wow, we always know textbooks are so expensive, but as I literally and I saw this book, and it just kind of something just kind of jarred in me, it just triggered something because I remembered, folks, just how afraid and how intimidated I was back in the day when I took this particular class. And so essentially multivariate data analysis, this class was very marketing focused, very market research focused. So in terms of consumer research, customer research, survey design, all of that. And so we had to do regressions, multiple regressions by hand with our calculators. And so of course, now we've got, so much software, you can just input data and it'll kind of spit out some of the results and some of the statistical analysis for you. But we had to do all of that basically ourselves. And I remember literally walking into this class, and I'll be the first to tell you, okay, I may have hated the label back in high school and tried to avoid it like the plague of being smart, being intelligent. Okay, but that's something I totally embrace now, and I certainly if took my academics very, very seriously. Was inducted into 4 honor societies during my college tenure. I know I've mentioned that in the past, but one of them that I'm actually most proud of is Phi Kappa Phi, which is the academic honor society. So I worked really, really hard during my college years. Academics was very, very important to me. I considered myself to be really, really, really smart and still do. But when I stepped foot in this particular class at Northwestern, folks, I cannot, and I just look back now and I just was flipping through some of the pages and I could literally it brought back so many memories, folks, of how afraid I was and just how I thought I was just going to fail. I mean, literally like the first week, I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? Here I am at Northwestern. And of course, I won't get into all of that, but just the level of competition in those particular scenarios. So, and Northwestern's also on a quarter system. So instead of a 15-week semester, it's a 9-week quarter. So not only do you have material that's extremely difficult, an extremely competitive environment, but there's also a very short time frame in order for you to master it. But I'm happy to report today that I mastered it. Okay, I didn't give up. while it intimidated me back then, and I literally flipped through this, I was flipping through it this morning, and I'm like, this class used to really have me so afraid. And I was always reading and studying and just stressing out so much over this class. And like I say, this was my Goliath through my entire college tenure, this particular class was. And I'm looking here at notes, that I have from back in the day. I got this little placeholder here, so I would literally kind of look back and reflect back on what my mindset was back then. And this particular session here, and I took notes, back in the day, and I can see February 8th is when I kind of took these notes, and it's on conjoint analysis, okay, which is a statistical technique. And now I look back and I'm like, I was afraid of this. I used to just stress out so hard and so much and just worry so much over this. And folks, we're all like that in various aspects of our lives. So we can look back, we may consider our Goliaths to be something that we've dealt with in the past and overcome, but I'm sure you've got Goliaths in your life right now that you're like, wow, this thing just really has me intimidated. Okay, you may be, sharp, you may be talented, you may have a lot of experience and tenure in whatever it is you're doing, but I assure you, we all have the ability to overcome whatever Goliaths that we face in life. But I'm looking at these, and some of my notes say brand name and price can be two factors in a conjoint analysis. A factor is a specific attribute of the product or services. And this final note is the factors shape preferences and conjoint analysis. So I look back now and I just remember how terrified I was of this class. And it's like, oh yeah. But of course, once I obtained, more practical experience and really see how important multivariate data analysis is so important. And we all, again, you may be sitting there thinking, okay, well, I've never taken a class like that. I have no idea what you're talking about. Well, I won't turn this into a market research episode, but I can definitely tell you conjoint analysis is something, and multivariate data analysis is something that you encounter regularly anytime you complete surveys. And so an example of conjoint analysis may be, or actually is, if you get a survey, and we've all seen them and we all get them, and it tells you, based on these particular criteria, please rate the following in terms of their importance to you. Just a very simple example. That's a conjoint analysis. That is an example of multivariate data analysis, which is so important to marketers and companies, particularly manufacturers, whatever they may be manufacturing, or even service companies. Okay, rank what's important in terms of, your preferences, or perhaps you're a very sporadic user. You don't use a product or service very often, and the particular company's goal, the marketer's goal really, is to take you to the next level, to get you to increase your usage. So they need to figure out what your preferences are, what's important to you, and they can build marketing strategies around that. And as I mentioned to you, I started my career in marketing, and so this stuff was so important, but I realize now, kind of looking back in hindsight, it's very, very important to me now. And so whatever your Goliaths may be, I literally just reflect back on just some of the major challenges that you've overcome in your life, and we all have. But just kind of reflect on that moment and say, I was so afraid of this, but I didn't give up. I maintained my courage, and I confidently, sometimes shaking, and stressed out and worried, I didn't give up. And so I persevered, and I overcame that particular challenge, that particular adversity, that particular hardship, that particular struggle. Okay? And I was victorious. I'm just the living proof of that. But I'm just telling you, I'm so glad I lost my phone yesterday in my house. As frustrating as it was, it forced me to kind of look, and I came across this book that I have not looked at in years. But it just made me smile as I was just thinking about the concept of just this whole overcoming our Goliaths in life, and realizing that what me may be afraid of or intimidated now, I assure you, if you don't give up, if you persevere, you'll look back and say, what in the world was I thinking? Because that's exactly how I'm feeling right now as I look at this book, as I smile, and as I'm so grateful that I didn't give up on the challenge. I didn't drop out of Northwestern. I didn't get kicked out of Northwestern either, and did extremely well. And it definitely set me up in terms of market research knowledge. So I'm very grateful for this class, as tough as it may have been. I hung in there, and I encourage you to do the same, because that's what it's going to take to overcome whatever Goliath or Goliaths you may be facing in your life today. So thanks so much for your time. Make it a wonderful day.